Hey songwriters and guitar players, this is Ari Koinuma for ImpactfulSongs.com, and today I wanted to share with you my songwriting analysis of this Jimi Hendrix classic Little Wing to see what kind of songwriting techniques are being used to make this such an enduring classic. And the thing about classic is that you've heard it before and you've heard it many times, and if you're a guitar player then you've played it many times, but yet it remains a classic because you just don't get tired of it. There's some timeless quality to it. So let's analyze it from songwriting perspective to see what kind of techniques are being used here that made it so enduring. Alright, so the first thing you might notice about this song is that it is a one-verse song. There's no chorus, there's no bridge. It's just one single progression that is repeated over and over. And it's a languid pace here, so it feels like it's kind of long, but in fact it's only actually 8 bars long, and actually there is a twist to that. I'll get to that in a minute. But it's basically one long progression that you repeat over and over. And so why does it work like that? One verse song is not necessarily common among pop and rock music, but it's not that unusual either, especially if you talk about like folk traditions. And what makes it work is because when the fundamental chords are chord progressions are interesting, and when it can stand to have different melodies on top, oftentimes one verse song can stand on its own, like you don't really need anything else. So what makes this chord progression particularly interesting? Well, first of all, it's in the key of E minor, but if you notice from the chord that I write out for you in my article, there are very few repeated chords here. Of the 8 bars or so, there are only 2 chords that are repeated: the E minor, which is the key, and then it goes through C a couple of times. But otherwise, all the chords are unique, and that's not repeating chords make the the harmony fresh when it comes up. So that's one of the reasons why, even though you repeat it many times, you don't get tired of it, because each chord progression just has a fresh feeling chords to it. There's not a lot of repetition here. So that's one thing to think about. The other thing is, of course, when you're going through it, everything is in the standard E minor harmony. And then going so on and so forth. From B minor, there's a little passing chord, but that doesn't really count. And here, we are so used to this song that this doesn't strike us as odd anymore, but we just played an F in the key of E minor here. All the way from G to C, he threw in an F. So the lesson there is that it's okay to deviate from the chords. The song sounds nice and tidy and predictable when you stick to one key and just use the chords that are come with the key. So see where you can fit in something that doesn't quite fit, and it might strike you as odd when you first put it in, but this is popular music here. Once you kind of get used to it, everything sounds fine. So there's again chord of F in the key of E minor, and very unusual. And finally, I want to point out the the length of this chord progression, particularly in the second half in the same spot. So this is the bar 5, so it goes 5, 2, 3, 4, 6, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And back to the beginning. So what happened is, from that passage, from G, F to C, he just inserted like 3 chords that are only 2 beats length, and then so although the thing is 8 bars long, it doesn't quite fit. It doesn't really, it just spills out by half a measure or 2 beats because of that. And again, the song is kind of languid in pacing, that you don't really hear it as a distinctive rhythmic twist, but this is the kind of subtle touches that makes the song a little more less tiring, I would say. This is the kind of subtle things you don't really register in your mind, but at the same time, if this song was neatly 8 bars long, it just feels just too neat and too tidy, and it just sounds predictable. But that little twist registers something that is unique about this chord progression, and again, that goes a long way toward making this particular progression listenable and something that you don't get tired of listening to, even you hear it over and over again. So, in conclusion, this is Jimi Hendrix Little Wing, and we talked about how it's a one-verse song. And then, if you want to have a one-verse song, you better have an interesting progression that can stand to have multiple melodies on top, and it does. And part of the reason why that is because there are few chords that are repeated. And one of those chords are out of the key, which creates an interesting or surprise or fresh sound in the middle of the chord progression. And finally, rhythmically too, this song sort of stretches the 8-bar structure with a couple of beats, so that you don't register it as something really weird or odd, but still something is interesting about it. And these are all great songwriting techniques that we can incorporate into our own songwriting. Alright, so that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. I'll see you next time. Thank you. Hey, thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, what will help me the most in creating more like this is to have you join my email list. Please go to the link shown in the video or in the description and sign up, and I'll send you some free stuff. Thank you.